Ghost Money. George Washington was born on the 22nd of February, 1732 in Virginia and became a skilled soldier and military commander. His size, strength, and confidence made him a natural leader on the battlefield. Well, after leading colonial forces to victory in the Revolutionary War, Washington retired back to his farm and largely disappeared from public life. Meanwhile, the fledgling nation he fought to free struggled to govern itself under the Articles of Confederation. As a delegation to address the Article's shortcomings convened, Washington presided over the Congress and was unanimously elected first president of the United States of America. Selecting Washington as the first president of the United States was largely ceremonial. He served as an icon of unity for the young nation, struggling to find its footing after years of infighting and disorganization. Washington's presidential administration had 4 cabinet members, including Secretary of State Thomas Jefferson and Secretary of the Treasury Alexander Hamilton. Known as his top 2 advisors, Jefferson and Hamilton could not have envisioned a more opposite path for the country. Hamilton, head of the newly formed Federalist Party, was a believer in a strong central government. Hamilton founded the Bank of New York and long had ties to Britain's banking elite, making him a strong supporter of commerce and international trade. Jefferson, head of the Jeffersonian Republican Party, was a believer in a servant government that honored states' rights. The greatest gap between the ideologically opposite factions came from the formation of the First Bank of the United States, a newly formed central bank modeled off the Bank of England. Jefferson warned of the dangers of central banking and campaigned extensively against it. Well, not surprisingly, it wasn't long before the bank was in deep debt. So, to cover the bank's swiftly growing debt and interest payments, Hamilton developed a plan known as the whiskey tax. It was the first time in the country's history that a tax was levied on non-imported goods. The common farmers, far removed from politics, were hit the hardest by Washington's taxing policy. After ignoring Western Pennsylvania grain farmers' First Amendment right to petition the government for a redress of grievances, resulting in the flat-out refusal to pay the tax, Washington raised an army to force compliance with the new tax. It is exactly the same kind of tax that drove Washington to fight for independence less than 20 years prior. Washington and his Federalists believed in a strong central government with far-reaching abilities to tax, borrow, and keep the population in check through force. Washington's lack of political sophistication often led him to manage his office in royal fashion. Not as defender of the land and the people he helped free, Washington often acted like a king. Eventually, utterly disgusted with Washington's presidency, Jefferson resigned from Washington's cabinet. The two never spoke again. The Ghost Money silver coin carries Jefferson's warnings forward to modern day, timelessly emblazoned on a .999 fine silver medallion, featuring a ghostly skull of Washington as the symbol of what he left behind for future generations. Oppose tyranny, restore liberty,